Well, I have to make this video eventually. In the you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, you know what I'm talking about. In that thumbnail, when first made it, I had like the gimmick little X's over the M's and stuff. But honestly, that's a trash talk gimmick, and there's no trash to talk from the Buckeyes' perspective because any verbal joust can be met with the final score by any Michigan fan of 23-40. Before I get right into the game, I will make some notes about some injuries that don't really matter. Travion Henderson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba and Matt Jones were out before the game for Ohio State. I honestly don't think it had anything to do with their loss in this game. You can tell that Blake Corum was banged up and he was out after one run. And I do think Mayan Williams was banged up too because there was a lot of Chip Traham and Dallin Hayden being used. Mayan Williams was playing, but he wasn't too involved as the game got into the later stages. This is the second year in a row in which Michigan was able to exploit the Buckeyes' biggest weakness on defense. Last year it was basically the whole interior and the run game. This year it was the secondary. J.J. McCarthy had a 50% completion percentage early in the fourth quarter. However, people are talking about this game like he looked like a Heisman candidate. And that's because Michigan's receivers were just so wide open. There were so many opportunities, especially whether it was to Cornelius Johnson or something called like Colston Loveland or whoever was getting open. J.J. McCarthy just had to make a competent throw and get big yards and touchdowns. And again, early in the fourth quarter, he had a 50% completion percentage. He was 12 for 24 at some point on his passes. It's not like he was actually playing like the Michael Jordan of college football or like Tim Tebow. He was just converting on easy opportunities that the Buckeyes defense were giving Michigan. Ohio State secondary leaving guys wide open for a lot of yards and scoring in the first half, and that kept happening after halftime. Maybe there were adjustments that were made. I didn't see them. I don't know what they were. I guess you can put that on Jim Knowles a little bit. You can also put that on players in the Buckeyes secondary just playing like garbage in general. I try not to be too mean to especially college guys, but it was really apparent that the secondary was all out of sorts today. I guess give Michigan some credit because their receivers were putting moves on them that the Buckeyes just weren't ready for, I guess. But man, you would think after you get torched 2 or 3 times in the first half, you would come out with a game plan that made sure that maybe Michigan, maybe they would have beat them in another way, but they weren't going to still keep getting absolutely torched on through the air. But that never ended up happening. However, the defense wasn't a total shit show for the entire game. The Ohio State offense just could not take advantage when the defense was solid in the first quarter. They had opportunities to go up 2 scores early and start killing their hope, and that's something that we've seen the Buckeyes not doing for a little bit now against worse teams earlier in the season, where they might have a 7-0 lead or a 7-3 lead, and they come out for the next drive. And if you get a 2-score lead early, you can really get that momentum ball rolling like a snowman, building a snowman. You keep piling on the momentum, whatever. That didn't happen. They were able to get a field goal, make it 10-3, but there's something about scoring and then maybe holding them to a field goal like they did. And then if they would have scored another touchdown, that gets stuff going, but that didn't happen. They keep it 10-3. They let Michigan hang around in the game, even though the defense was playing solid. The offense could not answer. And I feel like a lot of Ryan Day kept going away from what was working. And by the end of the game, you had to throw the ball because you were down by so much and only had so much time to go. At one point, throughout the entire game, Chip Trayanum was averaging almost 6 yards per carry. I have to say almost because it was 5.9, which is essentially 6 yards a carry. He only carried the ball 14 times. 14 times getting the ball on a 6-yard carry yard per carry average. I think maybe you should ride the hot hand a little more. I remember when Chris Olave had a coming out party against Michigan. He had a fantastic game against Michigan a couple years ago, and Chris Olave wasn't really known. He was kind of came out of nowhere in that game, but they rode the hot hand, and he got a lot of production. He blocked a punt. He was getting the ball thrown his way. Not the same. This could have been the Chip Trayanum game in an alternate dimension, an alternate universe, or something like that. But even if you were wanting to commit more to the pass game because you have such a great wide receiver group, I don't want to see any more screens involving this wide receiver group or dumb swing passes to a running back when you have a receiver group this talented and that was making plays against this Michigan secondary. There's, right before the half, Marvin Harrison Jr. getting that 42-yard touchdown, beating his man, and CJ Stroud putting a perfect pass there. Marvin Harrison Jr. having flashes of greatness in this game. I know his stats look crazy. I think it was like 7 receptions, like 7 or 9 receptions for like more than 100 yards. But I still get the feeling that he was maybe a little underutilized still. I would have minded if the passing game was just based around Marvin Harrison just running slant routes all game, or just any route in general, just have Marvin Harrison Jr. run it, honestly. There was a really bad 4th down play call. It was 4th and 2, and it was a play action pass to a tightly covered Cade Stover, who was really the only receiving target. I think you should maybe open up that option a little bit more. Not going for a 4th and 6 in that third quarter after starting the possession with a 1st and 35, and you had a 4th and 6 on, Michigan's side of the field, and you're only down 4. It was still the third quarter. So it's not like if you don't make it and they get a touchdown out of it, which they ended up doing anyway, and you go down 11, then it's not like it would be a completely it wouldn't be, you wouldn't dig yourself a hole so deep that it's too big to dig out of. You had offensive momentum. You got almost 30 yards in 3 plays. Why not go for a 4th and 6 and keep your drive going? I think punting kind of showed that they were coaching a little scared. They were coaching like they were tightening up, which I don't understand why this Ohio State team. They've been doing kind of stuff like this throughout the whole season. I don't get why. I feel like Ohio State did okay moving the ball against this Michigan defense. It's just that they were, they couldn't convert on key opportunities. And sometimes they were like that play, they weren't even given a chance. But to get to that 1st and 35, bad unsportsmanlike penalties were a killer, both on that one and also I believe there was one after Ohio State punted the ball away, so Michigan got better field position. Ohio State also having some problems with false start penalties. We've seen the offensive line struggle with these in the past, and we've also seen weird, line of scrimmage, delay of game stuff. Just like line of scrimmage stuff that kind of signifies that maybe the team isn't all that disciplined and all that ready to go. I feel like this was the culmination of issues that we've seen earlier in the year, kind of all coming to roost, whether it's the offense going through inexplicable lethargic stretches where they're not able to get stuff going, where maybe the run game is working, but for some reason they go away from it to run another bubble screen or a swing pass to a running back. I do not want to see another swing pass in this offense ever. And I know that now some fans have pivoted to watching other college games because, if result X, Y, and Z happen, then maybe, Ohio State still has a fighting chance of getting into that, that sliding into that 4th spot in the committee and making a playoff run. I don't want to see this team playing any more big games right now at the moment. Maybe I could be talked into it, after some time has passed and this loss has gone, the initial sting of this loss has gone away. But I don't want to see this team play against Georgia. Are you kidding me? Michigan had its own questions coming into this game, whether it was the Blake Corum injury or only just putting up 19 points against Illinois. Again, I'm not sure what Illinois' defense has that Ohio State's doesn't. I guess Illinois just didn't let 5 or 6 large passing plays go wide open for a touchdown. Oh yeah, and at the end of the game, the rushing defense broke too with Donovan Edwards. The Buckeyes do get it to within 1 score, and then Donovan Edwards breaks a 75-yard touchdown run, and the game is pretty much over by that point. I know CJ Stroud on that that final kind of like desperation drive where they have to score and get a stop and the ball back. On that drive, CJ Stroud threw a Brandon Weeden interception where there was one play against the Lions where Brandon Weeden just kind of sees guys coming on him. He flails the ball underhandedly and it ended up for an interception. CJ Stroud threw one of those where he kind of he's going to get sacked, but they still have more plays after. He kind of just flings it to, I forget who it even was, but it goes off of his hand because he's not expecting him to throw it to him, and it goes right into the arms of a Michigan defender. And that definitely sealed the game. If that Donovan Edwards touchdown run didn't seal the game, then the interception by Stroud did. This Buckeye team seems to have all the pieces for in a world-beating roster on offense and sometimes on defense too. But I think the Ohio State Buckeyes front 7 on paper has a lot of really good weapons, whether it's Zach Harrison or JTT. Tommy Eichenberg has been great this year, but they just haven't been able to connect those pieces and fit them all together consistently enough in order to prove that they can actually capitalize on the potential that they have. And I think that's what I think ultimately that's what we saw in this game, is that for all the potential and the talent that Ohio State has, it wasn't they weren't really put in great positions. And also, some of the talent just did not, they didn't prove well today. Again, I look at Chip Trayanum having almost 6 yards per carry and only getting 14 carries, and think about, what if they just committed to running him the ball a little bit more? What if they just gave him some more carries? And maybe it doesn't change the outcome of this game at all, but I think it would be nice to at least try and find out. So thank you all for watching this. If you made it this far, whether you're an Ohio State fan coming to mourn, or even if you're a fan of the team up north and you're coming to have a good laugh, at least you're here. Like and subscribe if you liked this video and you'd like to see more like it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you at the next one.